What up, y'all? Want to get at you today. I think what I wanted to talk about today, just for a few minutes, hopefully this will be for a few minutes. Never know, because I talk so damn much. But I wanted to talk for a minute because I think this may bring kind of a little understanding to everybody, because it kind of hit me. There was I read something, one of the subscribers on the channel, by the name of Brian, one of my favorites, by the way, had mentioned something. I don't even remember it too much, but it was along the lines of, it got me thinking of how that the narcissist, generally speaking, is, I guess from reading the passage based on that particular video that maybe I had spoke on, and he had, left some thoughts based on what I had said on the video. I don't even know exactly what it pertained to, but I started thinking, and one of the craziest things, and one of the things that I feel like that needs to be said, because it's not said enough, is that what's very injuring in these relationships that we have with the narcissist is the fact that if you are, how do I say this? If you have been with the narcissist to a point to where you have really seen, you have been able to see their true self, and if you've been with them long enough and you've been at that time that you were with them, you were their number one, you were their grade A supply, and say, I don't know if this is a spiritual thing, in relation to, maybe salvation, and also, understanding the construct of the enemy and the construct of God, and being able to decipher between the two, and then, what comes to you at some particular time in these relationships, and not all of them, because if you're really far below an awakening state, or maybe you're with more of a lesser type narcissist, I think I had this sociopath. I mean, if I had to guess based on the DSM-5, it was kind of along those lines. Okay. I would probably say, originally speaking, I would think she was probably a greater narcissist, but that's not probably the truth in it all. The truth in it all is she was probably a middle range A or B, because the deeper you get into this understanding, you're going to find that we're not probably going to have opportunities to meet too many of the greater and the ultra narcissists, because it becomes a per capita based on finances. I mean, the bottom line is when you understand this, it's based on this. You're talking about the higher echelon of society just doesn't rub shoulders with us. Okay, so that's the bottom line. So typically speaking, the ones that we're going to deal with based on, and I would agree with what some say. I mean, because when you experience it, it's at a whole nother level. It's at a if you're keen, it's going to be at a physical, a spiritual, and a psychological level. So, and then when you get the understanding behind the contract behind it, and you get healed, from your past, and understand, because you had a past yourself, but that's also recollection to help you understand even more of a deeper understanding, because you came out of it. Okay. But with all of that construct squished together, I guess what I'm trying to say is you just realize that you're definitely dealing with a spiritual issue. Yes. And a lot of us have said that, but to a greater degree, you're dealing with something, either, I say, either demonic or satanic, because I don't know if they're demon possessed or if they're fallen angel possessed, because those are two different constructs if you understand that whole situation. I spent years and years on that, and clones and all that stuff. But with that being said, that you're sitting in the presence of somebody that you fell in love for, you fell for, you did. Yes, they say it's a trauma bond. Yes. But, you know, at some degree, I don't care what anybody says. You can call it whatever you want. I understand there is a trauma bond. That I do get. I do get that there's a seduction there. But, and you were seduced. But, it's hard to say that you did not fall in love with an individual. Maybe you did through the seduction, and through the addiction. But at the end of the day, you still felt that connection. And whether it was good or bad, that's not my point. My point is you felt that to that level, and then you realize that this individual is damned. And you're still seeing them, at least for a time after. And it's always going to be in your heart and your mind that this individual is walking the earth, and you were with them. You were in close quarters with them. You were, you spent a lot of time with them. You were in relations with them, and you gave them your everything, all the way down to your essence, your DNA. I mean, really. And that particular individual, it dawns on you at some point that they are just, they're dead people walking, literally. It's almost like there is no redemption for them. There's none. And you're, and you have to process that. And I bring it up because I bring up real truth and reality as it comes to me, and I do not want to hide anything from you. And I don't want to tell you that I'm a perfect individual. I'm an amazing individual. I try to be just myself, and you know, I don't want you to get the wrong idea, because this is the thing is we grew up all the time with individuals that make it look like everything in their life is perfect. And, you know, a lot of these controllers and people on TV and news and sports and all this stuff, and, you know, the narcissists, you know, the same way. And they're the fakest people. So, in an attempt to be authentic as I possibly can, what I truly, you know, want to get across is that, you know, it's hard to understand, and I get that, and I just wanted to acknowledge, and I wanted maybe you guys to think about it and acknowledge the fact that you're not alone. And whether or not it was a good idea for you to fall in love with somebody like that, we know it wasn't, right? But it did lead us to some sort of a awakening, and I don't want to sound, you know, kind of guru-ish, because I'm not, but there was a spiritual awakening. Even though I am saved, there was increasing knowledge that came with all of this, all the way from my childhood back to my present and my future, that empowered me. And, you know, I think that you'll always deal with it throughout life. I mean, this is something that it changed you forever. And when you awaken to this, and you've seen spiritual things in the physical realm, and or you experience being in a relationship to the level of somebody that is completely and utterly just exactly like the spirit of Satan, and you've given them all your love and everything good that you have, and everything failed on them, nothing worked. It's kind of like there's a sadness for maybe all the work you put in, but it's not even that. It's the sadness, what's deeper than that and greater than that, that has to get you to a place to where you have to not be so much in a weird way at some point, because I know a lot of people have been really effed by these people, these individuals, and I know how satanic they are, but when you get to a place, I'm not even telling you when it's your time to not be angry with them, but at some point in time when you recover, because I know people have lost their jobs and almost lost their lives to this, and some have lost their life. So I'm not here to even judge that, but from my own opinion, I just want to get this out. And I was thinking maybe it would help a few people, maybe most of y'all, but I don't think it will help all of y'all. And I get that, and I don't have an opinion on that, because I wouldn't want somebody to have an opinion on my past relationships, especially if I lost everything, okay? Because I was lucky in this last one. But in the past, I have lost everything. But God had grace on me, and he quadrupled everything that I had in every part of my life, in every avenue, and I was younger. So at this point in time, I'm doing very well for myself, but I had a hustle. There was nobody that gave me anything, but God gave me what he felt I deserved. But the ultimate, there's such a sadness and a sorrow for the individual that lost their soul. And you see them sometimes still. You may pass them. You may have to deal with them. Or you just may think of that individual, but not that, you want to be with them, maybe as much as the fact that how do I say this? That they're damned to hell, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. And this. And they may not even know it. Their parents may not even know it. Their friends have no idea. Their family has no idea, and neither do they. And I don't even know where I'm going with this, but just the fact that there's sorrow in that. And, it kind of makes me think of, the Lord had mentioned something along the lines of the more that you know, the more that you understand in him, the more wisdom that you get. There is a lot of sorrow that comes with that. And I have to say that in dealing with this last narcissist, I mean, in the previous ones, like I said, in the previous ones I've dealt with, I felt like, they were on a covert level as well. And sometimes in weird ways, I felt like they were borderlines, and sometimes they were covert narcissists. And so, they do transition from borderline to covert narcissist. I mean, they all can fluctuate depending on their supply. It's kind of weird. So that's why there is a YouTube channel where this female psychologist or psychotherapist calls them hijackals or something, because I think, and she kind of explained the idea of, I do that because I don't want to have to decipher. And I think she was kind of saying that because that they do kind of intertwine between all of the cluster Bs from time to time based on supply. I mean, if you take a covert narcissist and you fill them full of tons of the perfect supply, you know, they're going to turn into an overt narcissist. I mean, really. And at sometimes when they're on their low level and they're vulnerable, they're going to, and emotional, they're going to turn into a borderline. But inherently, they're probably a covert or a Machiavellian. And it's just kind of weird. But they all kind of have the ability to vacillate between all of the cluster Bs. I mean, sometimes a sociopath that I was with, I felt like was a psychopath. I mean, really. So it just depends on the fuel, in my opinion. But generally speaking, because that they are going to be at a certain level in life, like they can only hit this level, and generally speaking, people don't change much. So if they're always going to be at this level, because this is where they were when they reached their 20s, this is the kind of supply they would get, and it may fluctuate up and down. They were at a covert narcissist type level, mid-level A or something. Or they'll be at a covert narcissist, lesser narcissist B or something like that. Or, you know, I mean, but when you're getting into, you know, the greater and the ultra and stuff like that, you're just talking about politicians, musicians, football, basketball players. You're talking about Hollywood, you know, music, movies, and all that. Oh, and just so you know, while I got you here and I mentioned Hollywood, did you know that Hollywood was used to make witches' wands? Hollywood. So anyway, you probably all know about that. I've been in this conspiracy stuff for 25 years, but studying it straight with a background in theology and eschatology, and I grew up with Jim and Tammy Bakker's son. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but the PTL network. So this is kind of I stayed at the house with the air-conditioned doghouse. That's a little tidbit for you. This is a little weird video. But the thing that kills me is when you meet a certain type of narcissist, or you get to a certain part of your awakening, I think all the narcissists you will realize are probably pretty much damned to hell. But, I mean, we're not the judge, but God gives us the opportunity at this point when you get to this kind of level of things. He gives you the scripture to back it up, and with your intuition of what you've seen and been through for years and years and years, he kind of solidifies the fact that he's going to give you the option to see what you're dealing with. Listen, if we could help these individuals, we would have. Because it's like your heart it kind of pours out for them, because you do see the sad side of it. We're empaths or super empaths. I mean, all of us really, right? So the awakened ones here on these channels. And we already know that in the end, you know, God gets revenge for us. So we hate for a time. We're angry for a time. We hate these mofos, boy. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. For a time, yeah. They did us wrong, man. Did us in bad, man. Oh, give me a like or a thumbs up. Subscription, please, while I got you. But that's all. I just kind of wanted to throw that out there because I feel like for our healing, it's good to discuss things so that we can go through them. I don't like the idea of getting over something, but going through it. Because when you go through it, you deal with all of there is to deal with, and you know, you soldier up through it. We're tough, man, and we live moment to moment, day by day, and we have to look to the Lord for everything, even our next breath. And I don't believe in guns, gold, and hoarding food, because for depending on what tomorrow will bring, because I don't watch TV, because I think it's nothing but fear mongering. And I do believe, just like the Lord said, like Christ said in Matthew, if God cares about the birds and he clothes and feeds them every day and knows where they are and what they're doing, how much more does he care about you? And will he take care of you? So I believe that if I was in the woods with nothing to eat, the Lord would drop a plate of food in my lap. And I don't care what kind of stories they've told us in history. Half of our history is a lie. And look to the Word and forget about what you hear in the news, because half of that's a lie. Your science, half of that's a lie. Your NASA is a lie. And your history. Bless me. Thank you. Love y'all. Give me a like, subscription, a thumbs up. Stand tall, soldier up. Peace out. Love y'all. Peace.